Let's go back right to the start. When we're talking about our what we call now our microbiome boost, the origins in that started years ago, and I was challenged with creating some environmental products that were in harmony with nature, which led me to yucca plants. But there's 50 different species of yucca out there, and contrary to common belief, they're not a cactus. They grow in the desert, but they're actually members of the lily family. And of the 50 species, there's only a handful that have any value from a healing perspective, as a therapeutic agent. And three of those reside in the southwest of the United States. And we've worked with all of them. There's the baccata, there's the brevifolia, commonly called the Joshua tree. Then there's the shadagra, which is the one we use exclusively now, more commonly referred to as the Mojave yucca, because it's resident in the Mojave Desert. And the reason why we only use the Mojave yucca or the Shadagra yucca now is because nature has seen fit to endow that with characteristics and properties that no other plant or botanic in the planet has. The reason for this, I suggest, is that it's resident in what's arguably the harshest environment anywhere on this planet, which is the Mojave Desert. When we talk about the Mojave Desert, is first off, you've got excessive wind, you've got insect, you've got flash floods, you've got drought. Sometimes the plant may go years and never see any moisture at all. You've got extreme temperatures. In the winter, you got freezing with lots of snow. In the summer, you have just a grueling heat. Matter of fact, the highest recorded temperatures anywhere on the planet in history are in the Mojave Desert. So you've got all of these adverse environmental hazards on this plant, but this plant doesn't just survive in that environment. It thrives and flourishes and shares these constituents with other botanics in the desert, allowing them to survive under those same conditions. So it's a very unique plant. And the thing it is that these constituents, when extracted correctly, can be used to eliminate poisons in air, eliminate poisons in water, eliminate poisons in the soil, eliminate poisons in the body. So we started off developing soil supplements, soil conditioners that would replace chemical fertilizers. That was all natural. I worked with the chief agronomist for the federal government in Canada, with Agriculture Canada. We developed a soil conditioner that was shown in all the major test sites in Canada, which is all in Saskatchewan, Ituna, Indian Head, and Arcola, Saskatchewan. I worked with their chief agronomist, a fellow by the name of Guy Lafond, world renowned. In the studies he did using our soil conditioner, we were able to increase the yield of cereal crops on average about 30% per annum at an application rate of 5 ounces to the acre. Further, we did studies to find out not just breaking down waste, because we were using it for breaking down solid waste, but also controlling what we call noxious gases, which come like for poultry producers and hog producers. So we were talking about the hydrogen sulfide gases, the methane gases, and of course the ammonia gases. So we did studies, the University of Georgia and their poultry science department, all of which we have the proof of all the studies that they did. We were able to eliminate over 90% of the noxious gases. What did that mean? Well, it meant just never mind the speeding up of the breakdown of the waste, but just eliminating all of these poisonous gases meant that we had a healthier environment for the animals. You drop the mortality rate significantly with the animals. But the other thing is that the barns we found lasted so much longer, more longevity in the barns, because you didn't get all of the corrosion associated with the ammonia, all the rust and that. You eliminated all that because we eliminated the ammonia out of the system. The constituents nature endowed this plant with that make it do all these things there's a lot of them, and I'll explain how. First off, in the soil, the two things that worked extremely well were a group of compounds called phytosterols. And these are natural occurring, what we call metabolic steroids, not at all like the anabolic steroids we think of athletes using. These are natural vegetable or plant steroid. And their function in nature is to enhance the activity of friendly aerobic bacteria. So in the soil, they would speed up the activity of the aerobic bacteria in the soil so the bacteria could produce up to 60,000 times more enzymes When you increase and have that proliferation of enzymes, you can more effectively break down any compactness in the soil, now allowing the roots of the plant easier access to any available nutrients. Now, the other substance that gives credence to its ability to act as a soil supplement is a substance in there called saponins. Uh, I guess the easiest way to explain what a saponin is, it's a natural occurring soap molecule, soap that's in the plant. So it's a foaming agent. If you took a drop of yucca, put in water, and spray water, fill it up, you'll see that it foams. It's used as a foaming agent, matter of fact. But soap is a surfactant or a wetting agent. So what it does, it means that when you get a flash flood or you get precipitation, instead of having it pond on top, because it reduces the surface tension of the water molecule, makes water wetter, the water can more effectively now leach down into the soil, and with it, it carries all the minerals in the soil directly to the roots of the plant. So combination of those two things is what gives it its ability to act as a natural soil conditioner. Works the same way in the body. One of our favorite colloquial expressions in the natural health arena is that life and death begin in the colon. And the reason we say that is because this is where most of our accumulated waste resides. And that's why our Maker in his infinite wisdom put about 80% of our immune system in our gut. We call it our second brain. And the reason we get these diseases is an accumulation of waste. When waste is allowed to accumulate over a period of time, it rots, decays, putrefies, and then as the body absorbs these poisons, the next thing we have a condition. Now, the body has a job, and that's to protect us. So as we start to create poisons, the body works as fast as it can to protect us by coating the gut wall with mucus to prevent the absorption of these poisons or further absorption of poisons. So this is where the saponins come in and the phytosterols, because the phytosterols now go to work with the friendly flora in the gut to produce more enzymes, can more readily break down that accumulated waste into tiny particles that are now easy for the body to eliminate through defecation. The soap molecules act as a detergent. Soap, we wash our dishes. Well, this soap acts as a detergent, cleansing the gut wall of the mucus. It binds with the mucus and also any of these toxins that actually contribute to disease, like bile salts, bile acids, precursors to a lot of our cancers, LDL cholesterol. Okay, it binds with all this so the body can no longer absorb them. It creates a molecule too large to pass through the gut wall. The body's forced to excrete it. So it works like a statin drug without the side effects by lowering cholesterol in the system as well. And it eliminates the cause of most of these degenerative and chronic conditions that we're talking about, puts the body in a better posture so it can more effectively absorb the nutrients the body requires to more effectively go ahead and heal. Then there's a whole host of other things. So the nice thing about this particular botanic, not only does it cleanse the body and put it, makes for a better absorption, but it comes with a whole complement of nutrients. It comes with your vitamin A, comes with a complement of all your B complexes, vitamin C, zinc, copper, magnesium, manganese, potassium, silver, copper, all of these different minerals that go directly to supporting the body, especially the adrenals. Adrenals depend on a lot of minerals and trace minerals to function because the adrenals are charged with monitoring and controlling the chemistry in the body. And the chemistry that has to be, that's our hormone levels, that's, all of this. So people with emotional issues are usually, you'll find that they have challenged adrenal systems. People that are sad, people that are, prone to anger outbursts, that I can almost guarantee that they've got a problem with their adrenals. Going back, it's probably because the adrenals aren't getting the nutrients that it needs. But adrenals control the thyroid. If you have an overactive or underactive thyroid, it's almost always as a result of the adrenals. So the adrenals play a significant role, but they need all these minerals and trace minerals. The other constituent that's found in abundance in the plant are what we call polyphenols. And there's a group called still beans. Still beans are a group of polyphenols, one of which, the most common one, is resveratrol. We say, well, it's found in the skin of grapes. You drink red wine and you're getting resveratrol. But to get benefit from drinking red wine, you'd probably have to consume about 5,000 glasses. And I can assure you that you'd have a liver issue before you got any benefit from the resveratrol. But that's where it's not in the red wine; it's in the skin of the grape. But you see, the bark of the yucca has an abundance of not just resveratrol, but even more potent, what we call the analogs, resveratrol analogs, and also there's eucols in there, part of the still being group. There's five different fractions, and those are shown scientifically significantly to reduce the stickiness in blood platelets. They also offset any side effects. Somebody that's using platinum drug therapy, like for AIDS patients that are using, uh, uh, some of these insidious platinum drugs, at least you can eliminate the side effects associated with those, and the same with chemotherapy, the hair loss, the nausea, and that you can eliminate those, by using some of these polyphenols extract, from the yucca. Been shown to do that. So there's a whole host of benefits. There is no downside. I would go so far in my own honest belief that you'll never find anything as close to magic as you will yucca in a bottle. The bottle of Microbiome Boost, what it can do for you is absolutely incredible. And, some borne out by the literally tens of thousands of testimonials that we've garnered over the course of decades and decades of manufacturing yucca-based products. Matter of fact, in 1991, I was approached by the Federal Ministry of Health in China. They wanted to do studies on two products. One was an Ojibwe Indian formula that we were the first people to bring it to public. And the other one was our yucca product. And there was a synergy between the two, and they wanted to test those two products. And so we granted them the permission to do that. And so we sent literally container loads of product over to China. Well, they went through a double-blind study at their expense. $7 million they spent doing they did toxicity studies in both products, and they did sarcoma studies where they actually induced tumors into mice and then treated them and observed and monitored the regression in the tumors in the mice. And it was actually more so, I would say, more technically advanced, and because they use both genders of mice, and usually when they're doing studies here, they use one gender only, and there's a difference between male and female. Viva the difference. But anyways, and then of course the final study was on case studies, and they did it on hundreds of patients in their hospitals, in their universities, on both cancer patients and lupus patients. Now, the end result was that they issued us drug identification numbers and import permits for both of those products. To this day, those are the only two Western-based herbal therapies in the history of the world that have been approved by China for treating those type of insidious challenges in all their hospitals. They published all the results in Mandarin, translated them into English. We have all the test studies and the conclusions. We're not allowed to put them on our website because laws in the United States and Canada and North America, because the studies weren't done here, we're not allowed to put that on. It's deemed as making a medical claim, which is what the Chinese were willing to do. All they were looking for was a benefit to the people who are suffering these challenges, and they have a socialized medical system. So the government pays for the health over there. So they wanted something that they were going to get maximum bang for their buck, the best result for the least amount. They found that nothing that they had ever used was as effective as those products of ours that they used. And so that was a major milestone. And since that time, I was the first Westerner invited to address Parliament in China. I got to visit throughout all the different provinces and address the prime ministers in the different provinces. I've been a guest in South Korea by the government in South Korea, and also the University of Daejeon, the leading oncologists there, where I lectured at the University of Daejeon. Singapore, I was a guest of the government over there and lectured over in Singapore. A lot of the Pacific Rim countries who for thousands of years have been recognized as the foremost authority in herbal medicine. We're the babies, but all of a sudden now they're starting to, take notice of the things that we're doing over here. We're doing some things that they weren't able to do. And a lot of it has to do is because the plants that we're using grow in an environment they don't have that same environment. They don't have those same plants. So we're able to produce things over here that are effective all over the world. I'll be the first one to tell you, you know what? I just feel so much better. I just feel better. And that's maybe not something you can monitor with a piece of equipment, but when you're in your zone, when you're feeling great, and when you're not feeling so good. And most of us, there's what we call a line of the tolerance level. Most of us are just hovering below that tolerance level. So we're not really sick, but we're not really well. They could be hovering just above it. okay, but they're not really well. But those days when you're in the shower and you're singing and you're feeling top of the world, that's when you're elevated up above, well above that tonsil. And that's where we should be each and every day. That's where we should be. So if you're not there, then you need to be using these products, okay? Because I guarantee they can help you get to where you want to be.
I was skeptical. Reason being, because how do you know if it's working or not working? I mean, everybody says, well, take this, take that, make you feel better. But how do you know? You know, and in my case, it was a friend of mine. Was very concerned because I was on statins. I was taking 8 different drugs to keep my blood healthy and of course, be healthy. But in doing that, I also have to be tested. I have to have blood work done every 6 months. So it gave me a way to know, because it wasn't a natural thing for me to do supplements. So what I did is I promised him, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stop taking all the drugs and I'll only do detox, and we'll see what my blood work looks like in 6 months. Well, when I went back, my blood work was perfect. And the doctor said, oh, those pills are really working for you. I said, oh yeah, they really are. But it's been 10 years, and I haven't gone back to the drugs at all. I've stayed on detox. Well, now it's, of course, Microbiome Boost. But my blood work is perfect every time.
One of the things that we've talked about, traditional, conventional medicine has talked about, has been a list of, I think it's like about 8 drugs that they give patients after they have a heart attack. And those include things like beta blockers and aspirin to decrease platelet stickiness and many different things like that. Well, the nice thing about this particular supplement is that it will kind of fit in all of those spots in different ways. And so instead of having to take 8 medications, you can use this, and certainly there are times when you need medication, but as a kind of prevention or as a way of really helping the body be more healthy, this is a wonderful thing. So for me, I love to be able to give this to patients and know the various effects that it has on them that are all positive without the negative side effects that you have with drugs. And it's much less expensive.
I was having really horrible bouts of diverticulitis. I was eating lots and lots of stuff that apparently triggers it, like little bitty seeds. I got to be hospitalized, and several times, like maybe 3 or 4 times into the hospital. And eventually they told me they were going to have to take out a section of my gut because it was so infected that it would probably kill me if I didn't do it. And then I was hearing all of these stories from ex-patients that procedure sometimes works, but occasionally, in a lot of cases, you have to go back and have it redone. And plus, I would have to wear a colostomy bag for 6 months. And I was thinking, no, I'd rather just continue going to the hospital. So one day I was going downstairs to the building where I worked, and the operations officer of the bank, we were talking about it. I said, well, he said, where were you? And I said, I was in the hospital for several weeks because of diverticulitis. He says, oh, my husband had that about 10 years ago, and he's been taking this product, Zenus health products, and he's not had any problems in about 10 years. So I said, well, turn me on to this stuff. And I've been taking it for maybe 8 years, and I am so glad I did. The diverticulitis is the one thing that it has completely cured me of. I'm convinced of it. I don't think it's just positive thinking. I haven't been to the hospital in 8 years, so I'm good.
And one of the immediate results that I saw using the yucca drops from Zenus is that they did help the patients much quicker in their recovery, and they were able to gain ground much quicker initially. That's why I made it a routine part of all of my patients, and I actually prescribe this for every single patient that comes through the door. I give them their first bottle, so they'll have it. I have them start on it right away. My latest patient is a stage 4 brain cancer from Australia, and he's doing really, really well. He was having seizures and a bunch of other activities before he came over. And I just talked to him about his wife and him about 3 days ago. And no more seizure activity since he went home. That's been about 3 or 4 weeks now. So I'm glad that we have the Optimum Detox drops as part of our treatment.
And I had friends at the time that were, in our early 60s, and some very well-to-do, successful guys that had the money to do anything were all around me, getting sick. And ultimately, I've got a picture from 7 years ago that we're all at a football game, and of the four of us, I'm the last man standing. And it just motivated me to lead a cleaner life. And I can be a junkyard dog eating, but I just felt that what Doug said about the constant cleaning of your body, making yourself well internally, just rang bells for me. And I've kind of bought that theory. I've been on the products now for over, it'll be 7 years in January, and have never missed a day. But I'm a big believer. I feel great. I used to be able to, I'm a golfer, and it got to the point where I wasn't able to hold a golf club. My hands hurt so bad from arthritis, and I also would have to go in the kitchen and have my daughter, open a bottle for me. And I'm thinking, here I am at the time 62. Is this the future? Am I, And I didn't want to go that direction. So Doug's story was about the yucca and the benefits of the yucca, and I said, well, I'll try that. What the heck? And for the first 30 days, don't feel any better, don't feel any worse. And then on that, let's say the 31st day, I show up at the golf course and I grab the club and I go, God, something's different here. God, my hands feel great. And I've never had a setback since.
By golly, I got a bottle because I wanted to get this bottle for my wife, who has certain things that she suffers with. And she wouldn't take it. She's take a couple of medications and she was worried. So I took it. Well, I want to tell you, that was the greatest move I did in a long time, because the first thing that happened, now I'm 64 years old, and I've had a prostate problem for a good 10 plus years. And it got to the point where I was up 5 times a night going to the bathroom. Well, since I'm taking Optimum Detox, it took about 2.5 weeks, 1 time a night. And another thing, I tend to catch cold. Now, my diet isn't the greatest. I know what a good diet is, and I still like barbecue pork and other things like that. So I tend to catch cold a couple of times a year. Not once in the last 13 months since I'm taking Optimum Detox have I gotten a cold. I've tried. People laugh at that. But I mean, in other words, I got the little tickle in the back of my nose and I'm going to wake up tomorrow, here we go. And I wake up tomorrow, it's not there. It's gone. And I've had patients say the same thing, I thought I was getting sick and I didn't. So that's a pretty common theme. So that's what it's done for me. Now my wife, my beautiful wife, she has had an arthritic thumb at the base of her thumb for, a year maybe, 2 years now. To the where if she tried to open a jar, why there'd be knives coming in. It was terrible pain. And it took her about 2.5 months, but since she's taken the detox, this thumb pain, this arthritic pain went down about 80%. So it's still a little tender right there, but she can open jars, she can use her hands. It's wonderful. And the other thing that she has had is that she's had a kind of an unhappy lower tract, a kind of an intestinal problem for probably all her life. Stomach ache and having to go to the bathroom and some loose, some tight, this, that. I mean, it's been not a happy thing for her. Since she takes the Optimum Detox, that's all leveled out. She is now regular, comfortable, no belly aches anymore.
The supplements have allowed me to have more harder workouts and push myself. And I have to really be careful though, it's just me, I'll be 70 next year and, I'd really have to be concerned about my health and make sure that I'm okay. It's okay to push myself. I think that the main thing is that, you got to have goals and you got to have intention And if you don't have that, then you're not looking for something that's going to help you feel better, live longer, think better, improve your memory. You got to have intention. And Doug is one of those guys that I can call. And I think you need to have people in your life like that, that you can call, that is got your interest in mind. And the good news is that there are things you can do. Instead of someone saying, oh, getting old, that's the way it happens when you get old. It's like, oh yeah, you're getting older, but hey, look, you can do this, this, and this, you know? And for me, that's a blessing. You know, that's a blessing.